Hello everybody, this is Tip Top Gaming here today with another Magic the Gathering Arena video. In today's video, I'm going to be playing some Standard. I know on my channel, I've been doing a ton of Brawl, but that month has passed, and so now I'm going to go to a schedule where every other week is Standard, and then, the weeks in between are Brawl. So, today I am playing a Fires of Invention Standard deck. For those of you who don't know, Fires of Invention is a 4-cost enchantment, and it says, you can cast spells only during your turn, and you can cast no more than 2 spells each turn. Which, so far, that's just a bad card. Then it says, you may cast spells with converted mana cost less than or equal to the number of lands you control without paying their mana cost. So basically, you can cast 2 spells per turn that converted mana cost is less than the number of lands you control or equal to. And that allows for some very interesting gameplay, and so I'm playing this with a bunch of planeswalkers and Fires of Wishes, which allows me to go get answers to things. Alrighty guys, that's it for how this works. Why don't we jump right into the gameplay? Alrighty, jumping right into this, we have a pretty good opening hand. I mean, we have Fable Passage and a dual land that lets me scry into another land, so I'm pretty set up in terms of land, because this deck is generally pretty slow, so if I can't get my land drops really early on, you're basically doomed to fail. Now, I don't have the key card for this deck, obviously that being Fires of Invention, but I do have Drawn from Dreams, which is almost a guarantee to get it. Now, part of me thought, hey, maybe I should move Fires of Invention into my sideboard so I can get that with Fires of Wishes, and that, then, that way technically I'm running 7 of them in my deck, even though I'm only allowed to run 4, but I decided to keep them all on the main board because that's not really what Fires of Wishes is meant to do. Fires of Wishes is meant to be that, instead of running a bunch of control cards in my deck, I run Fires of Wishes and then I can pull exactly what I need instead of running a bunch of anything. Now, I get, of course, the card I'm looking for, and so I'm able to pull both a board wipe and Chandra from that, and so I'm able to cast, Chandra's a 6-mana planeswalker. Normally that's your entire turn, but Fires of Invention allows me to pretty much do anything. And I think this guy forgets that when he attacks, Sarkhan does his whole 1 damage to everything, which will also kill Glowspore Shaman, but generally it's, people forget about that. They normally are just like, oh, he turns planeswalkers into, that. But here I'm able to use Fires of Wishes to get Ashiok. And now you might be wondering, why do I get Ashiok? Well, that's because he is a graveyard-based deck. So what I'm able to do is actually just exile his entire graveyard. And I'm not going to use Ashiok to mill him because that's not what my deck does. I actually just get 4 more shots at exiling everything. For instance, Crawl Foragers would have healed him that when he played it. However, because I exiled this graveyard, it did nothing. Now, you might notice there's that castle, and that castle is very powerful because I'm not actually spending mana on my turn. So that allows me to always use it to scry. Now, I'm able to use Chandra's ability, and then I'm able to use Sarkhan, which turns all my planeswalkers. But before I do that, I use Fires of Wishes to go and grab Nicol Bolas, which will allow me to basically use planeswalker abilities over and over again. And that's not really going to matter because I have lethal next turn, and even if he manages to kill everything, he's dead in 2 turns to Chandra's emblem. But that's how this deck is meant to run. It's meant to basically have me be very control-y, Prison Realm, Deafening Clarion, Realm Cloak Giant, Fires of Wishes, getting all these cards, and then I'm able to swing and win with, planeswalkers or, something like that. And Sarkhan is probably the, this is my win con card, but Fires of Invention allows me to get up there and, cast 2 planeswalkers per turn, Nicol Bolas, which I don't even have the colors for in this deck. I either need to use Interplanar Beacon or Fires of Invention, because that's another thing. Fires of Invention allows me to void, mana color, which I will do, and I don't know if that shows up in any of these clips, but it does happen. So here I start off with Teferi. Now, I bounce something and he's playing Cavalcade, and I'm like, ugh, he has that 1/1, which now does 3 damage, which is crazy. And so he can kill my Teferi by simply swinging at it. Sorry. He can kill my Teferi by simply swinging at it, especially with that other 1/1, and so at this point, it's looking, bad, but he decides not to kill my Teferi, which I don't know if it was the best idea. Now, if I can pull 1 more mana, I win. No, I don't win, but what I'm able to do is I'm able to play Fires of Invention followed by Realm Cloak Giant, killing everything on the board, which sets him back, because red does not do very well against board wipes. Now, he plays that second Cavalcade, which means I'm less inclined to deal with it with something like True Love's Kiss. But instead I decided to grab Unmoored Ego and just make sure he doesn't pull anything else, as well as allowing me to look at his hand. So, I know that I don't have to worry about a 1/1 or more Cavalcades in the future. Well, I have to worry about 1/1s in the future, but generally I'm pretty good. Now that thing is terrifying because that thing can almost one-shot me. Now I'm able to pull out Casualties of War, kill one of his cavalcades, one of his lands, and that creature, which is pretty good value. And of course it doesn't tap any of my mana. Now I'm able to use that to scry that out of the way. I play the 7/7 and I play Sarkhan, which means I just got 11 power on the board in one turn, plus Sarkhan technically is another 4 power. He's able to Lava Coil that, but then he realizes he's defeated, and he concedes. On to the next game. This game, I start off with Fires of Invention again, and I have 2 planeswalkers, so this is very on theme for my deck. I have enough mana in my opening hand to cast Fires of Invention, and I'm able to, then follow that up with Teferi, or what I'll probably do is I'll start with either Teferi or Narset, probably Teferi, because my whole deck is non-creature spells for the most part, so I'm able to bounce that back. Now, I don't really think about it. Cindervines is kind of a hamper on my plans because, it can kill Fires of Invention, but there's not much I can do about that unless I were to get Fae of Wishes, getting something like True Love's Kiss and then using that on it. But this deck can really destroy anything. It can destroy land, it can destroy, it can counterspell things, it can destroy enchantments, artifacts, creatures. I just use a board wipe to kill one creature because I have no other way of dealing with it that turn. Now, he's able to use Cindervines to get rid of my Fires of Invention, but I'm able to get Fae of Wishes out, and I get Tamiyo. The reason I get Tamiyo is she allows me to get Fires of Invention from my graveyard, so that's pretty powerful. I don't know if I'm able to use her twice or not, but what I'm able to do is use Tamiyo. Now, unfortunately, since I don't have Fires of Invention, I can't cast it this turn, but I'm able to return it. And then he shocks Tamiyo, which is kind of annoying. And then I get Fae of Wishes out, which unfortunately cannot infinitely block the 4/3. But I just decided to take 4 to face. I'm already doing pretty well. And he cast this, which is interesting. I'm not a huge fan of it because it drains you of your mana. And then if you pull some big cards, they're just gone. But then I'm able to replay my Fires of Invention. Now he's not playing a blue deck, so I don't have to worry about him counterspelling. But what I'm able to do is actually bounce Fae of Wishes back to my hand and board wipe, which you may have said, oh, that's probably not the best choice when you have Prison Realm. But remember, that also bounces Fae of Wishes back to my hand, which means I can then look for another card. And I do pull another one, so that probably would have changed my decision, but at the time I had no idea that was coming. I'm able to then destroy that 5/5, and I decide to send that land to the bottom, which I don't know if that was the best idea, as it allows me to scry and set up my draws for future turns, but I decided to do it anyways. So he plays his 8/8, which would normally be terrifying, but with Fires of Invention on the field, I can just Fae of Wishes to get literally anything, assuming I don't pull a removal, and I could technically sacrifice Chandra if I really needed to. However, obviously I can get removal, so what I do is I get Conclave Tribunal. I don't know if that was the best removal. I may have wanted to actually get Nico Bolas and then use the minus ability to do that, but at this point he's dead. He has the emblems on him, which he cannot physically get rid of, so if he can't win soon, he's dead. And he's low on cards, and green-red is not typically the best at drawing cards. Now, he does get this 4/3 out, which I'm like, oh no. But what I'm able to do is just use Chandra's ability to exile it. I play Narset, and then he concedes. Narset was obviously to get more spells that I could cast Fires of Invention. Now here I have 2 Fires of Invention, which generally isn't good. I decided to mulligan it away, which I don't know if that was the best choice, but here I have Fae of Wishes, Dovin, and Teferi, which are all very powerful cards here. He's obviously playing a all-flyers deck, which can be kind of scary, although the one creature I do have are flyers, so I don't really care that much about them being flyers versus not. However, it ends up appearing that it's not. It's actually a life gain deck, which, putting all your counters on one creature, that's not super hard to deal with, especially when I just top deck a Prison Realm and I'm able to get rid of that. However, I really need to pull into a board wipe, so I'm starting to throw things to the bottom because, well, I need a board wipe, especially with that. Now, what I'm able to do is I'm able to throw out Teferi, which is what I'm about to do. Now, I'm debating between Dovin or Teferi, and I end up choosing Teferi because I can bounce the Healer's Hawk back to hand. Now, he can kill my Teferi, but that gets rid of that mask, which is good, and I do pull Fae of Wishes. However, I have no board wipe I can technically cast unless I shock in my Sacred Foundry the next turn, which is a long time. So I decide to play Temple of Triumph, so I don't actually need to shock that in, and Dovin, which allows me to create a 1/1, which can kill any of his creatures, and I'm hoping this, discourages him from attacking. However, it wouldn't make sense for him not to. What I really need to do now, of course, he taps it, and then he concedes, realizing that, hey, it does get +2/+4, so, or whatever it is, +1/+3, and he concedes. I don't know if I would have won that game. I think the better move, besides playing Dovin, would have been to use Fae of Wishes to get Time Wipe and then Time Wipe the board, but either way. On to this next game, I end up with 2 Fires of Inventions, which isn't very good. However, next turn I'll be able to play it right on curve. I can bounce that back to hand, which is very good when it's the only creature, because he basically just lost a turn. I mean, he had to play a land, which is not nothing. However, he basically had the same board state the previous turn. However, it allows me to play Dovin. Allows me to play Fires of Invention followed by Dovin, and create the 1/1 blocker, which can protect either of my planeswalkers. Now, at this point, every time a creature enters the battlefield, he gains 2 life, and I can't tell, is this a life gain deck or like a vampire token-y deck? I think it's a life gain deck. I'm able to create another 1/1, and I decide to send out Sarkhan because I can create the, the 4/4 dragon, and then I use Fae of Wishes, and I don't know exactly what I'm going for here. However, I think what I decide to do is I decide to, I check what, types of, things he has, and he doesn't have that many. So what I decided to do is grab Chandra, which is a win con. I can't even cast that technically. Now, he decides to mortify that, which is very sad, and he sends his forces at 2 different things. Now, what I think I should have done is I should have, I need to block the one targeting Dovin, I think, but I decided not to, if I wanted all my planeswalkers to live. Now, what I'm able to do is turn them into 4/4s. I swing for 8 damage, and I'm able to have that enter tapped because I'm not actually spending mana. I play that, and then an emblem, and then I play I play Fae of Wishes, because I don't want to risk anything, and then I'm able to use Teferi's ability. Now, Teferi's ability to make me cast things at instant speed is nullified by Fae of Wishes, or by Fires of Invention, because you can only cast things during your turn. However, Teferi's a good planeswalker anytime you play him. Now, he swings with both of them at him, which I'm able to block with the 1/4, and that's a fair attack. However, what I'm able to do is I'm able to activate all of his abilities, board wipe his field, turn them into dragons, and then swing. Now, I probably should have Deafening Clarion to gain a bunch of life, but I don't. I instead decide I'm going to pass the turn. I should have, generally I should have done that, but then he concedes, realizing that next turn I can repeat that. So then I rank up. I'm so low because, it just reset. But that's it for this video. Now, I think this deck is really fun, and it actually is competitive. It's what I'm using in the ranked ladder. So if you guys want to play it, you guys can check out the deck list in the description down below. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you want to see more content like this, or MTG news, or really anything, please hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!